Faso's military government said on Monday that it had foiled a major plot to overthrow the country's junta leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Security Minister Mahamadou Sana said on state television that plotters included current and former soldiers and terrorist leaders. They had planned to swarm the presidential palace on April 16. This is just the latest attempt to overthrow Ibrahim Traoré after he seized power in the 2022 coup. His military government had pledged to fight jihadist groups and had even sought support from Russia. But security threats persist and 40% of the country remains under jihadist control. Mahamadou Sana said that the coup attempt aimed to sow total chaos and place the country under the supervision of an international organization. He also claimed that the plot instigators are based in Ivory Coast. Last week, Burkina Faso authorities had already arrested several military personnel accused of planning to destabilize the government.
Okay, guys. So pretty much as you saw in the clip, there was an attempted coup. Um, I want to start with Kamal. Kamal, you have any thoughts on this? What do you think about what happened? I know you keep up with some topics, I know very limited around the world, but I know we talked on this one.
Yeah, I ain't done enough research yet, so like I don't really know about much about it. So I know when to not talk about things that I don't know about. So yeah, I can't say much about it. You feel me about this topic right here because I don't know shit about it like that. So.
I understand. Mans, did you keep up with it?
Yeah, well, I do know that our general uh, had said that he was going to. I, I don't know what to really pull out of it. I know there was a lot of pushback on social media. People upset. People from Jamaica and some people from African countries said that if we intervene, if our general gets involved, then they're going. Like basically, they got smoke for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen that circulating.
hmm
Now,
Because and the reason why they're going in is because there's something with France in this country. France is the one that is pushing for this. So just to give that too.
right, and I mean, but we know, okay. Let's not, get beyond ourselves and not, or be naive to what America is about. Anytime America intervenes in any conflict, right, is always a takeaway. What that takeaway is a wild card, but we know it's either going to be minerals, whether they have to sell their goods and so forth, their contract deal, for X amount of years. We've seen this as early as Liberia, right, with the rubber. That's what Firestone.
Mhm.
We've seen this as early as with Ukraine, or as late as Ukraine, right? Ukraine, the minerals deal, right?
Right.
Remember that whole conflict where people was like, oh, uh, what's the guy's name from Ukraine, the president?
Zelensky.
Zelensky.
Yes, Zelensky, right? They got into a little battle, but that was all scripted. JD Vance and Trump was pissed because he did not go forward with that minerals deal early on. So they was basically saying like, okay, we're gonna let Russia continue to tear up your country and bomb you to smithereens until you're ready. But eventually, when you had enough, you're going to come back to us. And of course, now the renegotiations did happen, but this was going to happen with this as well. That's what we do. We basically, create stability in the country, milk the country, put them in debt, while we maintain it. And if you don't give us what we want, we pull our military out and we let your country go to shambles.
Mans, are you sure you're a Republican? I mean, these are like kind of like Democrat talking points. I'm just gonna say because I mean the fact that you're acknowledging this shows the depth of your knowledge, and I appreciate it. But are you sure? I'm just kidding because I'm independent and I lean towards Trump, so I get it. Um, and so, what's your thoughts? Where do you think we're going with this? I mean, the general did say he was pushing for us to have some sort, to assist with this coup. He wanted to overthrow him. France is pushing for it. And France, they ain't been too loyal to us lately. So do you think we should get involved? What's your thoughts?
I don't think we should get involved at all. In the simple fact that we get involved with toppling dictatorships, toppling leadership into nations, and it doesn't pan out the way that it should. I mean, we've been meddling in African nations for the longest time, and look at exactly how that happened. I mean, from the limited knowledge that I have on the United States and Africa, I mean, kind of to blame for a lot of some of the genocides and everything that has happened, like in the DRC, as well as what was the other one nation?
Libya.
Sudan. Oh,
Yeah,
there's so
Sudan and
many.
Libya. There's so many. Like those are the ones that I know firsthand. With, like I said, the limited knowledge that I know about the area with everything like that.
Mhm.
Where we're putting into power, funding these rebel groups to take over the country, and it doesn't pan out the way that they think it's going to, and then just wipe their hands and walk away from everything and let this happen. I don't think we should be meddling in anything over there at all, or any other country coming into it. Like,
Mhm.
for example, same thing with the Middle East and everything that happened over there too.
Mhm.
We destabilized an entire region, and
Well, you know,
And fun fact, the guy we're talking about tonight, Myron Gaines, is originally from Sudan. So I just want to throw that fact out there. He's not an FBA, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, what were we gonna say, Men's? I'm sorry.
he's foundational trash.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, yeah. If you
I know y'all ready for that one, but yeah, we'll wrap this one up soon. Gray is Gray. I
okay,
want to ask this: do
Mhm.
you think that you are a foundationally Black American? Do you think that Black Africans around the world, America as well, but around the world, should care about this issue? Should we all be uniting to support Burkina Faso? Because it appears he's a good president. He got his country out of debt. I just want to put that out there. He's making education free for the first time in his country, and it seems like finally an African nation's getting it together, and the European and Western entities are going against them. Should we unite? What's your thoughts?
Well, what I saw interesting was Dr. Umar shared a meme that Obama is the one to blame for this. I guess something happened during his term. You might know more than me, but this is basically just typical colonialism, and he's trying to, I guess, have independence. But China has so many assets in Africa, and America has so many assets in Africa because Africa's on a trajectory to have the youngest population, and like in 40, 80 years, they're expecting it to be prosperous. So I understand why China and the United States both want power within the region.
Mhm. Beans, you got anything to add before we move on?
of course, you know I do. I'm just trying to keep it to the 2-minute limit.
She said beans. She
What?
said beans.
Oh,
No, I mean, honestly, I don't really concern myself with a lot of things. Things that I don't think my voice will actually have an impact on or affect. I actually don't even concern myself with it, so I don't.
That's all good. All right, man. I'm gonna give you the floor one last time on this topic. What do you want to add that we have not discussed?
well, that question. Do you think that should we get involved? I think that
Mhm.
look, this is America. America is where it's at today because of the decisions it's made compared to other countries. If it's not us doing it, and this is what I've learned from having people, in my motorcycle club. Shout out to DSS. Um, there's people. I'm in a military motorcycle club, right? And this is what a Marine said to me: if we're not the ones doing it, somebody else will. And so when it comes down to, I don't, I could test that statement that we are actually causing destabilization in Africa. I think that we're giving ourselves too much credit. In fact, we actually give a lot of foreign aid to Africa. However, the one we could take blame for Gaddafi. In that situation, Obama did have some level of involvement. However, it wasn't just him; it was also people from this very own country that was also orchestrating and in cahoots with having that carried out. So, with that being said, should we get involved? Absolutely. I think that we should get involved in support. We should also be more, um, you know, moving forward, involved in many other foreign
So,
affairs because
how in particular do you think we should get involved? I'm curious.
as far as support,
As far
um,
as this, yes, you think we should get involved as far as support, not getting involved to support. So, like, what side do you think we should be on as Americans?
of course, the Burkina Faso, if I said his name correctly, Yes. Absolutely. We should be in support of him. I don't have France. You know, I'm at this moment I would say I'm anti-France.
I'm anti-France, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when we needed help in 9/11, I don't know if you guys remember this, they didn't want to help us.
They gave us
I'm
a little
anti-France.
sold out.
Yeah. And multiple reasons. I mean, even with the NATO situation, everyone talks shit on Trump and is mad about, you know, him holding those countries accountable, but they don't want to pay their fair share. And that's the issue I have with them too. But anytime something happens, we always have their back, and they seem to forget that. So anyways, okay, we're going to move on to the main topic of the night that everyone's here for. Beans, have you
Right.
ever been on Anton Daniels' channel before? Yes.
Absolutely.
Beans.
I take a lot of credit for his success. But I would like to ask the brother next to me one question, because
Sure. Go ahead.
he
Mhm.
said about the ideology that if we don't do it, somebody else will. So you're saying you're a proponent of that ideology?
Am I a proponent of it? Absolutely. I mean, we know through history that other countries have actually tried and made attempts. You know, it's.
Well,
I
I'm
think
just trying to. I'm not necessarily about where it's placed, but the ideology itself, right? Because would would you say that? Well, let me just ask it this way.
we're not in a world of angels.
Absolutely. So, would it be okay if a drug dealer also espoused that attitude?
It's not the same thing.
It doesn't have to be the same thing. The ideology is the same, right? If the ideology is the same, right? It's the method, or it's the idea behind the behavior, right? So if the ideology is, well, somebody else doesn't do it, you know, if we don't do it, somebody else will, then we can apply it universally, right? And automatically now you're saying it's not the same thing, because you're seeing how it could be it
It's
can be viewed negatively, right?
Well, no. The reason why I say it's not the same thing is because a drug dealer, right? What does he do? He sells drugs to make money, and that is an option because there's other choices he has to make money. But when we're talking about global conflict, and we're talking about everybody racing to actually conquer, and you have China, Russia chasing expansion, you have Israel, whatever they're doing, which I think that we're partner. You know, we're very tightly bonded with them. They could be actually running this country for all we know. But you have the Middle East as well. These countries did not start off as large as they are. Israel wasn't even there, you know, over 60, 80 years ago. So when you have growing, what we call empires or growing dynasties or territories, it's a race of conquering.
Right.
And
Can you exist without being a global power or a global territory?
it's not a race to sell drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Can you exist without being a global power?
can you exist without being a global power? Absolutely.
Okay, so then it's not necessary to do, right? So because it's not necessary to do, what I'm saying is it doesn't matter. See, what you're saying is you're just saying you just hold on one second. Hold on one second. What you're saying is you justify the behavior. That's fine. We pass you justifying the behavior. But the ideology itself that you're using to justify the behavior is problematic, because the minute that I applied it to something else, you disagree with it. So what I'm saying is, if that's your response to somebody on why we should be able to do it, it's a very disingenuous response.
No, it's actually a legitimate response simply because you have to listen to what you're saying, right? Don't listen to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You compared the ideology to drug dealing, right?
No, I didn't compare the ideology. I compared the behaviors.
The behaviors to drug dealing, right? So you conflated, right? You conflated because you brought it into something that's not necessary for a person to do to survive, right? We're not living.
You just said it's not necessary for us to be a global power either. We could exist without being one.
It is. If we want America, if you want your children to grow up in a first world country, not in shambles, you know, not in third world conditions. I don't know if you ever traveled, but I've been to 14.
Bro, I'm not trying to argue with you about whether or not it's okay to do it or the reasons why they do it. I don't care about that. What I'm saying is because right now what you're doing, I could do the same thing for a drug dealer. I could say, if I want my kids to go to private school, and not to public school. So I don't take the job at the McDonald's, but I
Gotta
go
take
hustle the
that
deals that's gonna make me more money. So let's not do that. That's a waste of time.
See, that's
What I'm
your
saying is, do you understand how the ideology is problematic? As an excuse, I'm saying as a justification for the action to say if somebody else doesn't do it.
The only way,
You know,
the only way it could be problematic is if you can legitimately say that we live in a world of angels, and we don't.
I don't have to, because you already conceded that we don't have to be a global power. We can exist without it.
No, we can exist, but we will live in third world conditions. We will be conquered. You will have warfare. You will have other countries coming here and taking control and ruling this country. They would invade this country like they already are trying to do. Like to act like there's not other people constantly trying to
agree.
the country is you basically remaining oblivious because you want to say that's why you can't compare it to drug dealing. Drug dealing doesn't have people forcing or people basically being forced into positions where they have to sell. We're forced in a position where we have to gain intel. We have to apply pressure. We have to spy. We have to invade other countries before they invade us if they're a threat. That's just that's literally requirement to remain in the position we're in. So if you're saying that you rather your children grow up in third world country, then you're saying that war is not necessary, then go to other countries where they're not doing the same thing, where they don't have a military power, and let's see how that goes. That means you don't mind living those conditions. And then what are you in America for? Like, what are you here for?
Oh, that's a typical Republican answer. I'm not surprised that you said that, right? It's always the same thing, right? Whenever you say anything, I ain't even said nothing bad about America, and it's already go somewhere else, right? That's all y'all ever have to say. What I'm saying is right now, and this is why you won't stay on what I'm talking about, because you can't. There is no justification for the ideology that if I don't do it, somebody else will. Because when people who look like me say that about the choices that they make, you say, well, there's other choices. And in this thing, and just because I can't verbalize the choices doesn't mean they don't exist in this same sphere in which you're talking about now. We don't have to be the number one world's global power in order to exist.
Well, that ideology goes back to World War II. When we did not step in, the Holocaust happened. When we did not step in, you know, they bombed us first at Pearl Harbor. That's where that ideology goes back to. Now, if it was real or a false flag, I don't know, because I didn't live back then, but I can only go by history. That's why we have that mentality. Goes back to World War II.
The American Revolution.
You think even further? Well, I say
get it. We go from the beginning. But I'm gonna ask you this, Beans. You know, I think that I did my best answering your question. That's why I went into further, elaboration. But obviously, you didn't find a favorite. So I have a question for you, Beans. Do you enjoy your position in America right now? Do you enjoy your life?
Yo, Republicans are the worst, bro. And look, everybody knows I don't like Democrats either, but Republicans are the worst. Listen, I'm gonna answer your question, and then I'm gonna ask my own. The answer to your question is yes. Here's my question: what the freak? Here's my question: what the freak does that have to do with if I don't do it, somebody else will?
Hold on.
I'm just trying to have a conversation about the ideology, because here's the thing. Here, in my opinion, the minute that you justify the ideology, it's universal. You cannot judge anybody else for having that same ideology in their decision.
What law is that? What law is that?
My law is that people like to cherry pick their ideologies, right? People like to say, "Oh, it's okay for us to do it, but not you."
Okay, so that's like saying,
hold on, Miz. We'll go to the next topic. Go ahead, Nora. Go ahead.
Yeah, like we need to move on. And no, it's not just that. We do need to go on. You know, we're on the topic of the night about your friend Anton. So, Beans, you're gonna be the star of the night probably. So just keep the same energy. When I asked you if you've been on Anton's show, you said he owes his success, or he can owe some of his success to me. What do you mean by that?
Damn it.
You said it. I didn't say it. You said it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to back it up. I mean, you talk a big game, Beans. You said it. If you don't want to elaborate, it's okay, because I'm going to move on.
Well,
but
no, that was obviously tongue in cheek, right? But but we did, myself and a bunch of other the bunch of us did help launch the success of his Fight Club brand.
Nice.
And then he rebranded and he's doing
Mhm.
something different. So but no, I don't actually say that I have anything to do with his success. The man been doing it for 10 years.
I got you.
No
But you were
surprise
like
where he
you
is.
were a part of the successful podcast he had with
Oh
which
yeah,
was
he had
Fight Club.
another brand that, yeah, absolutely. Me, myself, Fatty, Aaron O,
Nice.
Kiki, Brittany B, all of us, like we definitely helped build that brand, that the Fight Club brand. But no, but I was tongue in cheek. I'm not actually taking any credit for the success.
I'm messing with you. Okay, so Beans, do you know who Myron Gaines is?
Yeah, the racist guy from Fashion Fit.
You like him?
No, I don't actually.
So why would Anton have him on his show? I'm gonna let you think about the answer because I'm gonna play the first clip. This is him on